It's hard to believe how fast time flies. Just a few years ago, I was a college student, juggling exams and part-time jobs. And now, here I am, Laura Carter, 25 years old, about to marry the love of my life, Michael Richardson. Michael, with his kind eyes and easy smile, is someone I still can't believe I'm lucky enough to be with. He's from a well-off family, a fact that never really mattered to me, but it does mean our wedding is going to be something out of a fairy tale. Well, his mother's version of a fairy tale, anyway. I was in our soon-to-be shared apartment, flipping through a wedding magazine when Michael walked in. "Hey, Laura, you won't believe the florist's latest idea for the centerpieces," he said, his voice filled with a mix of amusement and mild disbelief. I looked up and laughed. "Let me guess, something extravagant and probably totally impractical?" Michael flopped down next to me, nodding. "You got it. But hey, if it makes my mom happy?" That was Michael, always trying to keep the peace, especially when it came to his family. I admired that about him. Speaking of his family, there was a part I was nervous about. His sister, Sarah, who I hadn't met yet, was coming to the wedding with her new husband. Michael's mom, Mrs. Richardson, had let slip a bit of juicy gossip about Sarah in one of our wedding planning sessions. Sarah, who was in her mid-30s, had recently divorced her first husband and remarried a guy who was my age, only 25. That little tidbit had certainly raised my eyebrows. The doorbell rang, snapping me out of my thoughts. Michael got up to answer it. "That must be the delivery I was waiting for," he said. As I was flipping through another page of the magazine, Michael came back, holding a small package. "It's from my sister," he said, handing it to me. "She sent a little something for the wedding." I opened the package to find a beautiful silver bracelet with a note attached. "To Laura, looking forward to finally meeting you. Love, Sarah." "That's really sweet of her," I said, genuinely touched. "Yeah, Sarah can be really thoughtful," Michael replied, with a hint of something in his voice that I couldn't quite place. "You'll like her, I'm sure." The days leading up to the wedding were a blur of last-minute preparations and family arrivals. Michael's family mansion, where the wedding was to be held, was bustling with activity. Amidst all this, I tried to keep my cool, focusing on the joy of marrying Michael rather than the stress of the event. It was 2 days before the wedding when Sarah and her husband were scheduled to arrive. I felt a mix of excitement and nerves at the thought of finally meeting them. Michael had told me bits and pieces about his sister, but I had no idea what to expect from her husband. The sound of a car pulling up the driveway announced their arrival. Michael and I went out to greet them. Sarah stepped out of the car first, a tall woman with a confident air about her. She greeted us with warm hugs. "Laura, it's so wonderful to finally meet you," Sarah exclaimed, her smile genuine. "I've heard so much about you." "It's great to meet you too, Sarah," I replied, feeling a little relieved at her friendliness. Then he got out of the car. My heart stopped for a second. It was Jack. Jack Thompson, the guy from college who made my life a nightmare. But how? How could he be here, married to Michael's sister? I must have gone pale because Michael looked at me with concern. "Laura, are you okay?" I forced a smile, not wanting to make a scene. "Yeah, just a bit overwhelmed with everything." Jack hadn't noticed me yet. He was busy getting their bags from the car, but then he looked up and our eyes met. There was a flicker of recognition in his eyes, quickly masked by a polite smile. "Laura, this is Jack, my husband," Sarah introduced us, oblivious to the silent exchange between us. I managed a weak smile, extending my hand for a handshake. "Nice to meet you, Jack." Jack's grip was firm, his eyes studying me. "Likewise, Laura." The rest of the introduction was a blur. I excused myself quickly, mumbling something about needing to check on the caterers. Once out of sight, I leaned against the wall, my mind racing. How could Jack be here, in my life again, and as part of my soon-to-be family? I needed to talk to someone, but who? Michael? No, I couldn't burden him with this just days before our wedding. My dad? Maybe, but he was already dealing with so much as the police chief. Lost in thought, I didn't notice Michael had followed me. "Laura, seriously, what's wrong? You've been off since Sarah and Jack arrived." I looked up at him, torn between telling him the truth and keeping it all inside. "It's just wedding nerves, you know?" Everything's happening so fast. Michael studied me for a moment, then pulled me into a hug. Whatever it is, we'll get through it together. You know that, right? I nodded, resting my head on his shoulder. I know. But inside, I knew this was just the beginning. The past I thought I had left behind was now standing right in front of me, threatening the future I had so carefully built. Lying awake in bed, the memories of college came flooding back. It was a time shadowed by Jack's relentless pursuit. He was everywhere, in the library, the cafeteria, even waiting outside my classes. His initial infatuation, masked as sweet gestures and love notes, soon turned sour when I made it clear I wasn't interested. I still remember the day he crossed all boundaries, the day he tried to force his way into my dorm room. That was the day I realized this wasn't just some college crush gone wrong. It was something far more sinister. The fear from that day hadn't left me, even after all these years. Feeling restless, I slipped out of bed and walked to the living room, my thoughts a turbulent sea. The clock on the wall ticked away the early hours of the morning as I dialed my dad's number. He answered on the second ring, his voice groggy with sleep. "Dad, it's me. I need to tell you something," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "Laura? What's wrong, honey?" Concern laced his words. "Dad, Jack Thompson is here. He's married to Michael's sister. He's the same guy from college, the one who stalked me." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "Laura, are you okay? Did he try anything?" "No, nothing like that. But just seeing him again, it's brought it all back, Dad." "Laura, you need to tell Michael about this, and his family too. They should know what kind of man Jack really is." I bit my lip, considering his words. It made sense, but the thought of dredging up the past, especially now, filled me with dread. "Dad, I don't know if I can. What if it ruins everything? The wedding is tomorrow." "Laura, I understand you're worried, but this is important. You can't just pretend everything is okay." I sighed, a knot forming in my stomach. "I know, Dad. I need some time to think about how to handle this." "Okay, sweetheart. But remember, I'm here for you, no matter what." "Thanks, Dad. I love you." "Love you too, Laura. Be safe." I hung up the phone and sat there in the dark, the weight of the decision heavy on my shoulders. I knew what my dad said made sense, but the idea of bringing up my past, potentially disrupting the delicate balance of our soon-to-be family, was overwhelming. As dawn broke, bringing light to a new day, I made a decision. I would keep this to myself, at least for now. The wedding was too important to Michael and his family. I couldn't let my past with Jack ruin it. I would deal with it after the wedding somehow. But for now, the secret would stay with me. The day before the wedding was hectic, filled with the final preparations and a sense of looming anticipation. I tried to keep busy, focusing on the details of the ceremony, but my mind kept drifting back to Jack and the unresolved past he represented. As I was checking the seating arrangements in the main hall, Jack walked up to me, a smirk playing on his lips. The sight of him so close sent a jolt of anxiety through me. "Laura, you look like you could use some help," he said, his voice laced with a mock concern. I took a deep breath, trying to maintain my composure. "I'm managing just fine, thanks." He leaned in closer, his smirk widening. "I can't help but notice you haven't told Michael or his family about our little history. What's the matter? Scared they might see you differently?" His words stung, and I felt a surge of anger. "That's none of your business, Jack. What happened between us is in the past, and it's going to stay there." "Oh, come on, Laura. We both know you're just trying to play the perfect fiancé. But deep down, you're terrified of the truth coming out," he taunted. I glared at him, my patience wearing thin. "You approaching me like this, talking to me, it's a violation of the court order. You're not supposed to be anywhere near me." Jack's smirk faltered for a moment, but then he laughed. "That old thing? Please, we're practically family now. Besides, no one here knows about that, do they?" I took a step back, feeling cornered. "I'm serious, Jack. You shouldn't be at this wedding. You need to leave." His laughter grew louder, echoing in the empty hall. "You really think you can keep me away? I'm a part of this family now, Laura. And as for the wedding, let's just say I've got a little surprise planned." I felt a chill run down my spine at his words. "What do you mean by that?" Jack winked at me. "You'll see. Tomorrow's going to be a day to remember." The eve of the wedding was a blur of emotions. The house was filled with the laughter and chatter of arriving guests, but my mind was elsewhere, clouded with worries about Jack and his ominous words. As I was helping to set up the reception area, Michael came up to me, his face full of concern. "Laura, you've been quiet all day. Is everything okay?" I forced a smile, not wanting to burden him with my troubles, especially not now. "Just a bit overwhelmed with all the preparations, that's all." Michael wrapped his arm around me. "Hey, don't worry. Everything's going to be perfect. You just need to relax and enjoy our day." I nodded, wishing it were that easy to brush away the unease. "I know, you're right. I'm just being silly." Later, as I was double-checking the guest list, Sarah approached me. She seemed excited, oblivious to the tension that was eating away at me. "Laura, this is going to be such a wonderful day. I'm so happy for you and Michael." "Thanks, Sarah. I'm really looking forward to it," I replied, trying to share her enthusiasm. As we were talking, Jack walked past us, giving me a knowing look that sent a shiver down my spine. Sarah noticed my reaction and frowned. "Is something wrong, Laura?" I shook my head quickly. "No, nothing. I just thought I forgot something on the list." Sarah seemed satisfied with my response, but I could tell she was still a bit puzzled. "Well, if you need any help, just let me know." After she left, I took a moment to steady my breathing. The thought of facing Jack tomorrow, on what should be the happiest day of my life, filled me with dread. That night, as I lay in bed, the house quiet and still, my thoughts were a whirlwind. I contemplated telling Michael everything about Jack, but the fear of ruining our wedding held me back. I didn't want our special day to be overshadowed by the ghosts of my past. But as I tossed and turned, Jack's threat echoed in my mind. What surprise did he have in store? And how could I protect myself and my future with Michael from whatever Jack had planned? The morning of the wedding dawned bright and beautiful. As I got ready, surrounded by my bridesmaids, there was a buzz of excitement in the air. But beneath my carefully applied makeup and styled hair, anxiety gnawed at me. "Laura, you look stunning!" exclaimed one of my bridesmaids, Lily, as she helped me with my dress. "Thanks, Lily. I just hope everything goes as planned," I replied, trying to sound upbeat. "Everything will be perfect, you'll see," she reassured me, giving my hand a gentle squeeze. As the ceremony time approached, my heart raced. Walking down the aisle, I saw Michael waiting for me, his face lit up with love and happiness. For a moment, all my worries melted away. This was our day, and nothing was going to ruin it. The ceremony was beautiful, filled with heartfelt vows and tender moments. As we were pronounced husband and wife, the room erupted in cheers. But as we turned to face our guests, my eyes involuntarily sought out Jack. He was clapping, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. At the reception, the atmosphere was festive, with guests enjoying the food and music. Michael and I mingled, laughing and thanking everyone for coming. But as I looked around, I noticed that Sarah and Jack were missing. "Have you seen Sarah and Jack?" I asked Michael, trying to sound casual. "No, I haven't. They're probably just taking a break from the crowd," he said, not seeming concerned. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was off. Jack's words from yesterday echoed in my mind, and I couldn't help but wonder what he was up to. As the evening progressed, the absence of Sarah and Jack became more noticeable. Michael's mother, Mrs. Richardson, looked worried. "I've been calling Sarah, but she's not answering. It's not like her to miss something like this." "I'm sure they're around somewhere," Michael said, but I could tell he was starting to get worried too. Just then, the doors to the reception hall burst open, and Sarah stormed in, her face red with anger. The room went silent as everyone turned to look at her. "Laura, this is all your fault!" she yelled, pointing a finger at me. I was taken aback, my heart pounding in my chest. "Sarah, what are you talking about?" She was seething. You seduced my husband in college, and now you're trying to ruin my marriage." The accusation hit me like a physical blow. Murmurs and whispers filled the room as guests tried to make sense of what they were hearing. "Sarah, that's not true," I protested, my voice trembling. Jack was the one who... But I couldn't bring myself to say it out loud. Not here, not in front of everyone. Michael stepped in, his voice firm. Sarah, you've got it all wrong. Laura didn't do anything. Let's talk about this privately. But Sarah was beyond reason. No, everyone needs to know what kind of person she really is. As the argument escalated, I felt my world crumbling around me. The secret I had kept so carefully was now out, but twisted into a version that painted me as the villain. I looked at Michael, his face a mix of confusion and concern, and I knew I had to set things right. But before I could speak, another voice cut through the chaos. It was my father, his voice authoritative and calm. Everyone, please, can I have your attention? The room quieted down as he stepped forward, his police badge visible on his jacket. There's been a development outside that I need to inform you about, he said, looking directly at me with a reassuring nod. I braced myself, not knowing what was coming, but trusting my father to handle it. Little did I know, the truth about Jack in the past was about to come out in the most unexpected way. The room fell into a tense silence as my father stood there, his presence commanding attention. Everyone's eyes were on him, waiting for him to speak. Earlier today, the police apprehended a man outside this venue, he began, his voice steady. This man was found to be in violation of a restraining order, specifically one that forbids him from being near my daughter, Laura. A collective gasp echoed through the room. Sarah's face went pale, and I could feel Michael's grip on my hand tighten. The man we apprehended is Jack Thompson, Sarah's husband, my father continued. Sarah looked shocked, her eyes darting between my father and me. What? But that's impossible. Jack wouldn't... My father held up his hand to stop her. I'm afraid it's true, Sarah. Laura was granted a restraining order against Jack in college after he repeatedly stalked and harassed her. I felt the room spin as all eyes turned to me. The secret I had tried so hard to keep hidden was now out in the open, laid bare for everyone to see. Laura, is this true? Michael asked, his voice filled with concern. I nodded, tears brimming in my eyes. Yes, it's true. I didn't want to ruin our wedding. I thought I could handle it. Sarah was in disbelief. But Jack told me you were the one who pursued him in college. He said you were obsessed with him. That's a lie, I said firmly. He was the one who wouldn't leave me alone. I was scared, Sarah. I had to go to the police. Sarah looked at me, then at the spot where her husband had been standing earlier, a look of realization dawning on her face. My father continued, Jack has been taken into custody for violating the court order. I'm sorry to bring this up on such a happy occasion, but it was necessary. The room was filled with murmurs as people processed the news. Michael's mother came up to me, her eyes full of sympathy. Laura, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. Michael hugged me tightly. I wish you had told me, Laura, but I understand why you didn't. I'm here for you no matter what. Sarah approached me, her expression remorseful. Laura, I'm so sorry. I should have believed you. I was fooled by Jack. The revelation had turned the wedding into a scene of confusion and disbelief. But amidst the chaos, I felt a sense of relief. The truth was out, and I no longer had to carry the burden alone. My past with Jack was finally brought to light, and now I could start to heal and move forward with the man I loved, free from the shadows that had haunted me. The rest of the wedding night felt surreal. After the revelations and the drama, the mood had shifted significantly. Yet, amid the shock and confusion, there was a sense of coming together, as if the truth, however painful, had brought a strange kind of unity. Michael and I sat together, hand in hand, as the guests slowly started to engage in quiet conversations around us. Laura, I'm so sorry for everything you went through, Michael said softly. I wish I had known. I squeezed his hand. It's not your fault, Michael. I should have told you. But I was afraid of how it would affect us. Michael looked into my eyes. Nothing about this changes how I feel about you. I love you, Laura, and we'll get through this together. His words were a balm to my troubled heart. I leaned into his embrace, feeling a sense of peace for the first time that night. Sarah came over, her eyes red from crying. "Laura, I can't tell you how sorry I am. I was so blind." "It's okay, Sarah," I said, reaching out to touch her arm. "You didn't know." She took a deep breath. "I'm going to file for divorce. I can't be with someone capable of what Jack did. And thank you for being so brave." As the night drew to a close, my dad came over. "Laura, are you okay?" I nodded. "Yes, Dad, thanks to you. You always know how to protect me." He smiled gently. "That's my job, kiddo. Always." The next few days were a whirlwind of emotions and decisions. Sarah filed for divorce, and Jack faced legal proceedings for violating the restraining order. Michael and I went on our honeymoon, a much-needed escape from the chaos. As we walked along a beach, hand in hand, I felt a sense of closure. The ordeal with Jack was finally over, and I could start a new chapter of my life with Michael. "Laura, what are you thinking about?" Michael asked, looking down at me. I smiled up at him. "Just how lucky I am to have you, and how much I'm looking forward to our future together." Michael pulled me closer, kissing my forehead. "Me too, Laura. We have our whole lives ahead of us, and I can't wait to spend every moment with you." As we stood there, watching the sunset, I knew that despite the challenges we had faced, our love had prevailed. The future was bright, filled with new beginnings and endless possibilities. Jack was a part of my past, a dark chapter that had closed, allowing me to step into a future filled with love, hope, and happiness.